Hey, what up, everybody? Stevie Breach coming to you today with a new WWE release. This is the best of In Your House, pay-per-view classics of 1995 to 1999. In Your House is what WWE used to change the face of pay-per-view wrestling in the United States. You know, growing up as a kid, you always had the classic five: the Royal Rumble, WrestleMania, SummerSlam, King of the Ring as your staple pay-per-views. Oh, Survivor Series, I apologize. Those were what got you through the year. That is what you watched Superstars for. That's what you watched Monday Night Raw for. That's what you watched Primetime Wrestling for. Those are the reason why you watch the jobber shows. To keep up on the storylines. Around 1995, they went from running just the 5 pay-per-views a year to having monthly pay-per-views where they would fill in the gaps. Every month they would run an In Your House pay-per-view, which honestly, it was lower pay-per-view than the classic fives. I believe it was $20 to get the pay-per-views, which was easy to talk your parents into if you weren't asking to get the pay-per-views every year. Well, not every year, I apologize, every month. If you just asked for one that came along that really, really stood out, it was easy because it's only $20. $20! And it was easy to do. Some shows were really, really good. And some other shows was just like another edition of Monday Night Raw that they were just charging you $20 to watch. Some were, they all weren't, great classic rivalry matches. But the first In Your House was built around Diesel versus Sid for the WWE Championship. It was easy to get behind. They had a whole lot of promotion for the In Your House pay-per-view. They gave away a freaking house. You'll see it in the DVD extras on here for you. Hopefully, they did a WWE magazine article. They caught up with the person that won the house, and they said they had to sell it and everything like that. But this house was freaking awesome. It was somewhere, I believe it was in Orlando, Florida. I know for a fact that it was in Florida. It had a indoor screened pool, huge house. They did these things where they made you think the wrestlers were gonna live with you if you watch the commercials. I'm sure they're on YouTube. I remember Todd Pettengill, and I'm pretty sure it was Sonny, pulling the envelope out to see who the winner of the contest was. And I remember praying that it was going to be me and my phone was going to ring. It didn't ring, and I still lived where I lived forever. But it would have been nice to win the freaking house. I sent in like 1 billion postcards for it. To get a chance. But I mean, this In Your House is going to be stacked. As you can see, the wrestlers they put on the cover, everybody's on here. Undertaker, you got Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, Kane, Shawn Michaels, The Rock, and Mankind. You got Bret Hart and Davey Boy Smith. Triple H as the guy that you might not know unless you've been watching wrestling for a long time. Davey Boy is probably the lesser known star on here. He is a legend, but he honestly was a big part of these In Your House pay-per-views. He had Beware of Dog, Canadian Stampede, a lot of these ones. He was a really, really big star in these days for WWF. And yeah, he deserves a lot of props for what he did back in the day. These discs, honestly, when I first looked at them, they looked a little bland for what the discs normally look like in these DVD sets. But I honestly really like them because they honestly remind me of what a CD would look like in 1995 if you were to go out and buy the newest CD, where it didn't have a whole lot on it. Pretty much just says the best of In Your House. Disc 1, Disc 2. Prop these guys up. Match listings are behind the discs. Roll through these really fast. Todd Pettengill hosts these the set, so he'll be the guy talking between all the matches. But you got Bret the Hitman Hart versus Hakushi. We met the biggest Hakushi fan in SummerSlam 2010 outside the Staples Center. It was an awesome, really great day. Jeff Jarrett versus Shawn Michaels. You got Razor Ramon versus Dean Douglas, who is Shane Douglas. For you ECW fans, Triple H versus Henry O'Godwin. Henry O'Godwin is the guy that really put Triple H on the map, and I really hope that he is featured and interviewed on the Triple H DVD that's going to be coming out. If it's not, they're sort of skipping over that whole Triple H guy who he first was as Hunter Hearst Helmsley. That was the guy that he really, really feuded with back in the day. I'd even really like it if they interviewed Mark Marrow, who I don't think he's on the best terms with WWE, but they have called in people for interviews for DVD projects before that haven't been on the best page for page. But those are the two guys that he used to battle all the time. Bret the Hitman Hart versus British Bulldog, like I said, a WWE Championship match. Right here, you got Shawn Michaels versus Diesel. Shawn Michaels versus Mankind. That's the Mind Games pay-per-view. Really put over on the Mick Foley DVD that just came out. Probably one of the best Mankind technical matches that you'll ever see. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Triple H. Undertaker versus Mankind in a Buried Alive match. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Bret Hart versus Vader versus Undertaker. That's going to be the Four Corners match from, I believe that was the Final Four pay-per-view, where that was where Austin won the Royal Rumble, but then they took it away from him because he was eliminated and came back in to win. Then after he celebrated on Monday Night Raw, I think it was Gorilla Monsoon who stripped him and set up that match. There you go. Hart Foundation versus Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ken Shamrock, and LOD. That was a really, really good match. That's from Canadian Stampede. Honestly, if they put that whole DVD out as one show, as like an Attitude Collection, what do they call those things? You know what I'm trying to say. Those rarer DVDs from back in the day that everybody's trying to find. That would be a great show to have. Really, really good. I have it on a DVD-R, recorded out the pay-per-view. But I honestly would say anybody get that who can. Here we go. Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker. Everybody's going to already have this. Oh, I apologize. I thought that was going to be the Hell in the Cell match, but this is actually from Ground Zero. Here we have Stone Cold Steve Austin, Owen Hart, Cactus Jack, and Chainsaw Charlie versus the New Age Outlaws and Savio Vega. You might wonder why the hell Savio Vega is fighting with DX in this match. It was basically, this is the match that was supposed to gap between the Royal Rumble and WrestleMania, where it was supposed to be Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Shawn Michaels. Shawn Michaels, this was right before he really left the WWF for a long time. How long was he gone after WrestleMania before he made his comeback? 6 years? 4 years? Something like that. I can't really remember, but Shawn Michaels wasn't able to work this show, and Savio Vega, for some reason, I don't even know how they recruited him. I think they just sort of put him in the match, much like the TNA match where Scott Hall no-showed, and they just put Eric Young on the team, sort of like that. I don't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure there was no real explanation. Just Savio Vega went out there because it was kind of weird because he was involved in the whole gang warfare deal that they were running at the time, and he didn't really fit in with DX, but they needed somebody to fill the team, especially losing their one main eventer. I don't know why they would only pull Savio, but that's who they found. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Undertaker versus Mankind. It says a tag team championship match. I can't remember why the hell they would be doing that, but we'll figure it out. Ken Shamrock versus Mankind. This is when they were fighting over the Intercontinental Championship. Here we have The Rock versus Mankind from St. Valentine's Day Massacre. That polishes it off in 1999. Then you get the Bluray exclusives. You have Bret the Hitman Hart against Stone Cold Steve Austin. Taka Michinoku versus Brian Christopher, Shawn Michaels versus Ken Shamrock, and D'Lo Brown versus X-Pac. From reading over this, it's pretty funny that they put Bret the Hitman Hart and Stone Cold Steve Austin on the cover of the DVD if he's only on the Blu-ray features. But they probably needed a picture to get everybody on there. But on the back, you got Stone Cold getting arrested. You got Mick Foley and Paul Bearer, and then you have Undertaker. The matches they like to really highlight are Bret the Hitman Hart versus British Bulldog, Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Triple H, Shawn Michaels versus Undertaker, and The Rock versus Mankind. This is going to be a real fun set to check it out. As I said earlier, Todd Pettengill from the WWF days is back to host this set, and it's nice to have him back inside the family, even if it is just for one night. Hopefully we can see him in some more in some futures, because back in the day, man, he used to host Livewire, which was like a 1-hour clip show, and him and Sonny were drop dead funny. Not as good as Heenan and Gorilla, but really, really good. Glad to have this in your house set. Hopefully I'll be blazing through this tonight with my buddies. We watched the Mick Foley matches in one night, the last sitting, and I think the Bret the Hitman Hart took us a few nights, but that was horribly painful. And if it wasn't for us on Twitter trying to get tweets back from Bryan Danielson and from Chris Jericho, I don't think we would have made it. I know I fell asleep at one point. I fell asleep, went through one match, woke back up, and we polished her off. But the Bret the Hitman Hart DVD was like pulling teeth. I'm really looking forward to this one. Like I said, hopefully we have the viewing party tonight, and I can get a review up for this as soon as possible. If not, always check out Luke Cara, or always check out In Zach We Trust, WWE Punk Fan 19, or we already said that we were going to do 2006 next, but maybe me and Miguel can talk about this freaking 88 as soon as we can. One way or another, one of us is putting something up and you can check it out. Peace out, guys. Have fun. Hey, what up, everybody? Stevie Breach coming to you. This is my third take at a in your house DVD review that just came out the other day. I was able to watch this. I bought the Blu-ray, and I was able to watch it in 2 nights, 2 sittings. I thought this was a very good set. One of the best sets they've put out in a good little while that don't revolve around wrestlers like the Mick Foley set or the CM Punk set. Matches that just revolve around one common theme. This one being the In Your House pay-per-views that ran from 95 to 99. If you can remember back to like the uh, what was that one with the damn Stone Cold Steve Austin, where the Falls Count Anywhere DVD, things like that. They were sort of like a little bit of a stretch to put together, but I thought this one really ran together, really good stuff. Mainly just focused on the main events. You get some intercontinental title feuds and some other mid-card stuff, but for the most stuff, this is just the main event, the main thing that you would have ordered the In Your House pay-per-view for, which is really good stuff. 2 knocks on it before I really get into it. One, the wrestler Sid is not featured on this DVD at all. I'm not sure if it's maybe they just didn't think that there was anything they really wanted to put on there, or maybe he's not in good standing with the company and they didn't want to pay him any royalty rights. I'm not sure which one it would be, but he was a big part of WWF, and he's not on there. Another is there's no tag team wrestling. We have a lot of 8-man tags and things like that, but no real tag teams like the Smoking Guns or Owen Hart and Yokozuna, the Head Shrinkers, other teams like that are not featured on here. It sort of was a surprise that the 1-2-3 Kid isn't on here in one type of a match. To get him some royalty rights, he was another guy that really had some good matches on some In Your House pay-per-views. I'm glad they didn't stick on here the Razor Ramon versus what was that? Razor Ramon versus the 1-2-3 Kid in that Crybaby match where they made Kid dressed up like a baby in there. But let's break it down. The first In Your House has the Bret the Hitman Hart versus Hakushi, which I believe was the opening match of the first In Your House pay-per-view. You had to see what you were paying for, and it was I think it was Hakushi was fighting for Jerry the King Lawler, and if Bret Hart beat Hakushi, he moved on and he got to have a match with Jerry the King Lawler later on in the show. This was a good match. Bret the Hitman Hart had to ground Hakushi, the High Flyer. Lots of good stuff in here for you. If you're not familiar with who Hakushi is, this is a good match to start with. From there, we went to Jeff Jarrett versus Shawn Michaels, 2 guys working at the peak of their prime, battling for the Intercontinental title ship. It's hard to remember. There was a spot where Shawn Michaels was really working his hardest to get to that main event slot, but this is one of those matches that highlights that time. Razor Ramon versus Dean Douglas. This is from the In Your House for the Intercontinental title. Before we have that, Shawn Michaels has to relinquish his Intercontinental Championship. He is giving it up for the reason of he had a concussion and he wasn't able to compete, so he has to walk down there. He was supposed to have a match with Dean Douglas. So Dean Douglas is counted as being the Intercontinental Champion because he hands it over and he becomes the champion, who immediately defends it against Razor Ramon. My favorite part is when Dean Douglas snatches the title. That's mine! And he takes it right out of the hands of Shawn Michaels, holds it up like he really won the match. Razor wins the match, and it's sort of a fluke. It looks like a really bad finish. I think they wanted to put it on there for the controversy that's surrounding the concussion and all that, or maybe the title switching twice like that. From there we go to the Arkansas Hogpin match between Hunter Hearst Helmsley and Henry O. Godwin. To win this match, you had to compete outside of the ring and throw your throw the other wrestler into the hog pin with the shit and the mud and the pigs running around in there. It's funny how the point of the match is to throw the guy into the hog pin, and so much of the match takes place inside of the ring with everybody bouncing around in there for you. Triple H gets the win, but Hunter ends up taking the pig slop finish. It's able to push him up to the Intercontinental title thing for you. Henry Godwin. Hopefully he's on that Triple H DVD coming out soon. From there we go to the Bret Hart versus British Bulldog. Most people remember the SummerSlam match, but this is something for the WWE title. Bulldog's pushed his way up to the top. A lot of these in your houses, Bulldog was used as a main eventer, as a real guy, and it's good to see him there. Then we go to the Good Friends, Better Enemies. This is Shawn Michaels and Diesel beating the hell out of each other. This is a no-holds-barred match. It's also Diesel's last match before he becomes Kevin Nash in WCW. There's an Oh My God moment in there for you if you haven't seen that DVD yet. Really, really good match. The two really highlighted off on the one of the Shawn Michaels ones. I think it's From the Vault or something like that. They do their own commentary for it. Both of them think it's one of their best matches they've ever done. From there we go to Shawn Michaels versus Mankind. I know a lot of people look at this as Mick Foley's best match ever. I look at it as this match really went way too long. It's hard to think of any other Mankind matches that went 30 minutes. Some people really love this match. I sort of just look at it like I've seen this a whole bunch of times. Maybe the first few times I saw it, it was good, but it's just sort of worn on me this time. This is from the Buried Alive pay-per-view. Stone Cold and Triple H battling out. That was a good match. Buried Alive match. Mankind versus Undertaker. Normal thing where Undertaker loses the match, and it takes 100 guys for him to lose, with everybody shoveling the dirt on top of him at the end. But this honestly was really, really good stuff. Every time Undertaker and Mankind were put together, I thought it was good. I didn't think they spent enough time talking about their feud on the Mick Foley DVD that came out soon, so this is a good match to go along with that. From there we go to the Final Four pay-per-view, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Bret Hart, Vader, and Undertaker. This match is for the vacant WWE Championship. It comes up because of these were the four guys left in the Royal Rumble before Stone Cold snuck in at the end, cheated, and got the win. Because of that, these guys are beating the hell out of each other to get it. I believe this is where Bret Hart wins the title, only to lose it the next night, I'm pretty sure, something like that. Vader really gets busted open, really hit really hard in the eye. Whole lot of blood coming out of there. That's probably the one thing that you're going to remember about this match more than anything else. That was the first disc. Watched that the first night. Was really into it. Second disc we watched last night. I almost gave up hope. We started it way later than I wanted to. I believe it was 12:07 is when the call got started to start this thing. And that's after 7 minutes after I said I was heading to bed, but I was uploading a video and I was staying there to make sure that it uploaded. And that's when the call came, and I said, "Oh, fuck me." So 4 a.m. I was able to go to bed last night, so that we were able to get through these matches. Canadian Stampede. I've said that this is a match that should be, or this is the pay-per-view that should have its own DVD, but it doesn't. So you have to put it together piece by piece. But a lot of these matches are on different DVDs if you go through them all. This one is Heart Foundation for Stone Cold Steve Austin, Ken Shamrock, Goldust, and LOD. This is a real star-studded match. Everybody goes crazy. One thing to watch out for, listen to Jim the Anvil Neidhart's pop when he comes out. It's probably one of the biggest pops he'll ever get of his whole career. And it's funny because all the Heart Foundation guys get big pops, but by the time Bret comes out, it's almost like the crowd's a little dead. His pop isn't as good as the other guys that came out along the way. I thought this was funny that this was a one fall decides it all, because when the one fall comes, it's in the middle of a big brouhaha, and it feels like the match could have gone on longer, but that was it. It was kind of weird. From there we go to Shawn Michaels versus The Undertaker at Ground Zero. This is a really good match, but these guys just really hate each other and they want to get this done. That's a fun one to watch. No Way Out of Texas, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Owen Hart, Cactus Jack, and Chainsaw Charlie going up against DX and Savio Vega. This is a match where Shawn Michaels wasn't able to keep the heat, and I spent half the match really just complaining to myself why Savio Vega was there and why nobody told us Savio Vega was going to be there, and how it makes any sense that he's tagging with these guys. I don't know. DX to me really should have just got out there alone. I know it would have been 4-on-3, but it would have made them look a whole lot stronger, especially with them going on to WrestleMania from there. And New Age Outlaws were moving up the ranks, but they weren't even full-fledged DX members at the time. They were close, but they weren't there. They kept on going out there and helping Shawn Michaels and Triple H along the way, but they were never full-fledged members till that night after WrestleMania. From there we go to the WWE Tag Team match. Why do they call it the E? It's about the F. They can put the F on there now, can't they? Stone Cold Steve Austin and Undertaker going up against Mankind and Kane. That was a good match. There we go to Ken Shamrock and Mankind. These guys had a Intercontinental title match. I remember them their matches more when they involved The Rock, and they were trying to move their way up into the number one contendership spot. So these guys had a lot of battles. This was a good one along the way. And the last match of the set is the St. Valentine's Day Massacre. The Rock versus Mankind. This match ends in a draw, and it sort of puts you in a sour note to end the DVD. That they would do it. They would put you there like that. You have to really see the whole Rock versus Mankind feud played out. Hopefully, you know, they did that Greatest Rivalries, and I don't know if they have any plans to do another one, but they had rumors of doing an Austin versus Rock one, but I mean, Rock versus Mankind one would be really, really good stuff as well. But I believe they go on the next night and they have the ladder match to decide who's going to go to WrestleMania to fight Stone Cold Steve Austin. I think that's the next step of that feud. But it was funny that they put it together like that. This by far is worth the money. Make sure you buy it. I guess before Sunday at Best Buy. It'll be on sale for you today and tomorrow. Even if the price goes up a little bit, that's worth the money. I guarantee you'll watch every match and you'll not be bored. I just noticed, oh, Kane is in there. Kane's in that tag match. But I was like, let's look at the cover as I held it up, and I saw Kane on there, and I was like, hey, what the hell? And he wasn't on there, but he was in the one match along the way. So this is good stuff. Make sure you head on out and pick this up. I highly recommend it. You can't go wrong. It's not one of those DVDs that are going to sit on the shelf and you'll never watch. I promise. Peace out.